The rain fell in sheets across the city, washing away the day's grime but not the heaviness in Maya's heart. She stood at the bus stop, soaked to the bone, clutching a crumpled termination letter in her trembling hand. Little did she know that the tall stranger sharing her shelter would transform her life forever, but not in the way romance novels might suggest. This isn't just a story about wealth changing fortune, it's about how human connection can rebuild what seems irreparably broken. Maya Parker had always been the responsible one. At 32, she'd spent the last decade caring for her younger brother after their parents' accident, putting her dreams of becoming an architect on indefinite hold. The small design firm where she worked as an assistant had been her lifeline, until today. Budget cuts. Position eliminated. 7 years of loyalty reduced to a single paragraph of corporate regret. The bus was late. Of course it was late today of all days. Maya tried to hold back her tears, but one escaped, mingling with the raindrops on her cheek. She quickly wiped it away, embarrassed by her public display of emotion. "Are you all right?" The deep voice came from beside her. Maya glanced up at the tall man in the expensive-looking coat. He wasn't carrying an umbrella either, and raindrops clung to his dark hair. Something about his eyes, they weren't pitying, just genuinely concerned. "I'm fine," she lied, clutching her bag tighter. "Just a rough day." The stranger nodded, respecting her space. They stood in silence for several minutes, watching cars splash by. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "when I'm having the worst kind of day, the only thing that helps is human contact." Maya looked at him skeptically. He shrugged. "Sounds silly, I know. But there's science behind it. Physical touch releases oxytocin. Reduces stress." Despite herself, Maya laughed. "Are you always this clinical when hitting on strangers at bus stops?" The man's face broke into a genuine smile. "I wasn't," he shook his head. "Fair enough." That did sound like a terrible line. The rain intensified, drumming against the plastic shelter. Maya's shoulders slumped as she spotted her bus approaching in the distance. The words escaped before she could stop them. "Could you just hug me for a second?" Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry, that's weird. Forget I said anything." But before she could retreat further into embarrassment, the stranger's arms were around her, gentle, respectful, but solid. Maya stiffened momentarily before allowing herself to accept the comfort. It lasted only seconds, but she felt something inside her unclench slightly. "Thank you," she whispered as they separated. "I needed that." "We all do sometimes," he replied simply. The bus pulled up with a hydraulic hiss. Maya stepped toward it, then turned back impulsively. "I'm Maya." "Ethan," he replied with a small nod. "Take care, Maya." She boarded the bus, finding a seat near the back. As it pulled away, she watched the stranger, Ethan, grow smaller through the rain-streaked window. She would probably never see him again, but for a moment, he had made her feel less alone. What Maya couldn't know was that Ethan Rhodes wasn't just any stranger. As the CEO of Rhodes Innovations, he controlled billions in assets and employed thousands. But today, he'd been walking, something his security team hated, trying to clear his head after making the hardest decision of his career. The board was pressuring him to cut the company's charitable foundation to boost quarterly profits. He'd been fighting it for months, but was running out of options. That night, Maya returned to the small apartment she shared with her brother, Alex. At 24, he was finally finishing his degree after years of struggling with the trauma of losing their parents. His medication was expensive, and without her job. "Hey, how was work?" Alex called from the kitchen where he was attempting to cook pasta. Maya set down her bag, trying to compose herself. "We need to talk, Alex." Over a dinner of slightly overcooked spaghetti, Maya explained the situation. They had enough savings for 2 months of rent and bills, maybe 3 if they were careful. I'll drop out and get a job, Alex said immediately. Absolutely not. You're 1 semester away from graduating. We'll figure something out. But your architecture program, you were finally going to apply. Maya forced a smile. It's just delayed a little longer. I'll start looking for a new job tomorrow. But finding work proved harder than expected. Days turned into weeks. Maya applied for dozens of positions, took on temporary gigs, anything to keep them afloat. The rejection letters piled up alongside the bills. Meanwhile, across town, Ethan Rhodes sat in his penthouse office, staring at spreadsheets that refused to yield the solution he needed. The foundation funded educational programs, medical research, and community development projects. Cutting it would devastate thousands of lives, but the board was unmoved by ethical arguments. They wanted numbers. His assistant knocked on the door. Sir, the community center director is here about the design grant. Ethan rubbed his temples. The design grant was a small program that funded architectural projects for community spaces. It was one of many initiatives on the chopping block. Send her in. The meeting was brief and disheartening. Ethan couldn't make promises he might not be able to keep. As the director left, she placed a portfolio on his desk. These are the designs from last year's grant recipients. Before you make your decision, please look at what your foundation makes possible. That night, Ethan flipped through the portfolio. The last project caught his eye, a community library designed to serve a low-income neighborhood. The architecture was innovative yet practical, beautiful yet functional. The designer had included notes about materials chosen for durability and sustainability while keeping costs minimal. The name at the bottom, Maya Parker. Ethan sat up straighter. It couldn't be the same person. He checked the contact information. The address matched the neighborhood where he'd met the woman at the bus stop. He stared at the designs again, impressed by the talent evident in every line. The next morning, Ethan made a decision. He would find this Maya Parker and offer her a position at Rhodes Innovations' architectural division. If her work was this good, hiring her would be good business, not charity. And if she happened to be the same woman from the bus stop, well, that would be an interesting coincidence. Maya was returning from another failed interview when she spotted a sleek black car parked outside her apartment building. A driver in a suit stood beside it, scanning the street. As she approached, he straightened. Ms. Parker? Maya Parker? Maya stopped, instantly wary. Who's asking? Mr. Rhodes would like to speak with you. He's waiting upstairs. Mr. Rhodes? I don't know any Mr. Rhodes, and I certainly didn't invite anyone to my apartment. The driver looked uncomfortable. He said it concerns a design you submitted last year. For the community library. Maya's heart skipped. The library design had been her passion project, completed during nights and weekends. She'd won a small grant, but the project had stalled due to funding issues. Your brother let him in, the driver added, as if sensing her hesitation. Great. Alex was too trusting sometimes. Maya hurried upstairs, preparing to politely but firmly ask this Mr. Rhodes to leave. When she opened her apartment door, she stopped short. Sitting at her small kitchen table, looking completely out of place in his tailored suit, was the stranger from the bus stop. You, she said, dropping her bag. Ethan stood, looking equally surprised. It is you. I wasn't sure until now. What are you doing in my apartment? And what do you know about my library design? Alex emerged from his room. Maya, this is Ethan Rhodes. As in Rhodes Innovations. As in the Billionaire. Maya stared, connecting the dots. You're the one who funded the design grant. Ethan nodded. Through my foundation, yes. I came because I saw your work. It's exceptional. So you tracked me down and invited yourself into my home? Despite her precarious financial situation, Maya felt her temper rising. That's inappropriate, Mr. Rhodes, no matter how much money you have. To his credit, Ethan looked genuinely chagrined. You're absolutely right. I apologize. I should have requested a meeting properly. He reached for his coat. I'll go. But I would like to talk to you about your designs, professionally. My company has an opening in our architectural division. Maya's anger faltered. An opening? The position would involve designing sustainable community spaces. Based on your library design, you'd be perfect for it. He handed her a business card. If you're interested, call my office to set up a formal interview. After he left, Maya researched Ethan Rhodes thoroughly. Rhodes Innovations was indeed a major corporation, known for both its technological advancements and its charitable foundation. The architectural division was small but prestigious, focusing on sustainable design. You have to call, Alex insisted. This could be your chance. It's weird, Alex. He's the guy from the bus stop, the one who hugged me. What are the odds? Maybe it's fate. Maya rolled her eyes. It's not fate. It's a strange coincidence that feels inappropriate. But they needed the money. And this was a chance to work in architecture, her dream field. After 3 days of deliberation, Maya called the number. The interview was scheduled for the following week at Rhodes Innovations headquarters. Maya wore her one good suit and brought her portfolio, including designs she'd never shown anyone. The receptionist led her not to HR, but to the executive floor. Mr. Rhodes wants to conduct the interview personally, she explained. Maya's suspicions returned full force. This wasn't normal procedure. Ethan greeted her professionally, and to her relief, the interview was conducted with 2 other team members present. They asked detailed questions about her designs, her approach to sustainability, her ideas for community engagement. Maya found herself relaxing as she discussed her passion for architecture that served people's needs while respecting environmental constraints. At the end, Ethan walked her to the elevator. The team will make their decision by tomorrow, but I want to be transparent with you, Ms. Parker. I was impressed by your work before I realized you were the woman from the bus stop. That meeting had no bearing on my interest in your professional abilities. Maya studied him, trying to determine his sincerity. Why were you at that bus stop anyway? Don't billionaires have drivers? A small smile crossed his face. Sometimes I need to walk. To remember what the real world looks like. The elevator arrived. Maya stepped in, then held the door. For what it's worth, Mr. Rhodes, that hug did help. Thank you for that kindness. The job offer came the next day. The salary was generous, enough to cover their expenses and allow Alex to finish school without worry. Maya accepted, though not without reservations. Her first weeks at Rhodes Innovations were challenging. Some colleagues welcomed her warmly, others whispered that she'd been hired because of some connection to the CEO. Maya worked twice as hard to prove herself, staying late and volunteering for difficult projects. Ethan maintained a professional distance, interacting with her only in group settings. Maya appreciated this, it helped quell the rumors and allowed her to establish herself on her own merits. 3 months into her employment, Maya was assigned to lead a project revitalizing an abandoned community center in the same neighborhood as her library design. The budget was tight, the timeline tighter. She threw herself into the work, drawing on her knowledge of the community's needs. One evening, as she worked late in the office, Ethan stopped by her desk. How's the community center coming along? Maya showed him her preliminary designs. I'm trying to maximize the space while keeping costs down. The building has good bones, but the systems need complete replacement. Ethan studied her drawings with genuine interest. Have you considered solar panels? The initial investment is higher, but the long-term savings would benefit the community, Maya finished. Yes, I included them in the proposal, but I'm not sure they'll fit the budget. Make them fit, Ethan said simply. This project matters. As he turned to leave, Maya gathered her courage. Mr. Rhodes, can I ask you something? He paused. Of course. Why is this foundation so important to you? Most CEOs would have cut it already to please their shareholders. Ethan was quiet for a moment. When I was 10, my family lost everything. We lived in shelters, relied on community programs. A teacher recognized my aptitude for mathematics and technology and fought to get me a scholarship. Without that intervention, without those community resources, I wouldn't be standing here. He met her eyes. The foundation isn't charity. It's an investment in potential. Something shifted in Maya's perception of him. Behind the billionaire facade was someone who understood struggle, who remembered what it was to need help. The community center project progressed rapidly. Maya assembled a team of contractors willing to work within their constraints. She held community meetings, incorporating residents' input into her designs. The work was exhausting but fulfilling. Meanwhile, Alex graduated and found a job as a counselor, working with children who had experienced trauma. For the first time in years, Maya felt they were both moving forward rather than just surviving. 6 months into the project, disaster struck. During renovation, workers discovered extensive structural damage that had been hidden behind walls. The repairs would add significantly to the budget, money they didn't have. Maya worked frantically to revise the plans, cutting costs wherever possible without compromising safety or function. It wasn't enough. She would have to present the shortfall to Ethan and the board, knowing it might mean the end of the project. The board meeting was tense. Maya presented the situation honestly, showing exactly what was needed and why. When she finished, the room was silent. This is exactly why these projects are too risky, one board member finally said. There are always unforeseen costs. We should cut our losses. Others nodded in agreement. Maya's heart sank. Ethan had remained quiet throughout the presentation. Now he stood. Ms. Parker, if we provided the additional funding, how long would the completed center serve the community? Maya straightened. With proper maintenance, the building would last 50 years or more. The solar systems would pay for themselves within 7 years and provide energy savings thereafter. The community programs would serve approximately 300 families annually. And if we abandon it now?